Now, if you've been watching my videos, you'll know that I've been a little bit skeptical about Porsche's EV future, but this is the 2025 Porsche Macan Turbo, and it is an EV that's made by Porsche with 630 bhp. How bad can it be? Well, in a EV world where speed and power have been democratized, they're all fast. What you want to know is, does this feel like a Porsche? Does it drive like a Porsche? Has it been engineered like a Porsche? And if you're a father of three like me, can it do things in a practical way? Well, this we can do. This we can find out together. So let's go and drive it. Christ in a wheelbarrow! That is fast. You know when you watch a Star Trek film and they're on the bridge of the Enterprise and the stars come straight at them when it goes into warp?
Warp drive, Mr. Scott.
Jesus Christ. Well, yes, now that speed is democratized with EVs, it doesn't mean to say we can't still enjoy doing that, right? What a delivery of power though, brutal, but refined, no changing of gears. But my God, that's fast. The torque is instant. It just brings a huge smile to my face. In fact, I'm shocked. Now, let's start with practicality.
In this video, we will show you how to efficiently open and close the doors and hatches of your Porsche Macan.
Oh, yes. Cargo space is generous, and these seats go forward, and you also have a frunk. Customers won't feel shortchanged though. There's plenty as standard. In fact, slightly more than the highest spec gas Macan. For example, 18-way adaptive sports memory seats, adaptive cruise control, Bose sound system, panoramic roof, gorgeous 20-inch wheels, power steering plus, which lightens the load at slow speeds, air suspension, LED lights, and even remote park assist, so you can drive your car out of a tight spot using your phone. And you get charging points on both sides of the car in case you've ever struggled with a short cable. Moreover though, this has to be the most customizable EV SUV on the market. If it isn't on a standard, then it can be added for a charge, so things like four-wheel steering, augmented reality head-up display, power sunblinds, and not to mention paint to sample, allow you to make it your own. That's pretty much unique in the market. And inside, it's pure modern Porsche. High-quality materials, driver-focused layout, and screens. Yes, 3 of them, if you count the passenger display. The driver position is spot on, the seats hold you properly, and you've still got decent rear passenger space. Now, one of the things I always like to do with cars to show practicality is to have the seat, the driver's seat, in the same place that I would have it if I was driving it. I'm 6 foot, and then to get in the back. And I've got a couple of inches here for my knees. I'm pretty comfortable, actually. This is bigger than I thought it would be, in all honesty. It looks smaller than in fact it is on the inside, I would say. Pretty comfortable. And I've got my screen down here so I can adjust my air conditioning. Pretty happy in the back here, actually. And the steering wheel is pure Porsche, as you can see. Our little Manatino switch is here. There's no push to overtake extra burst of power on this car, but you can turn it. And if I show you the main screen, the lights change across here depending on what mode you're in, and we've gone into off-road mode here, and then there is Sport and Sport Plus if we would like to do that. And this centre console is pretty funky. Yeah, you get the screen with real buttons, look, that you can use to push your air conditioning on or off or whatever it needs to do. Then over here on another level that you put your hand through to get to cup holders. Underneath here are the sockets for your mobile phone or whatever it is you're charging, and you feed them through, so they come up through this little hole here and clip into there. And of course you can also charge it using this charging pad in here, but that's a nice function. It just keeps the cables out of the way underneath there. There are vents that you can move. Take that, Taycan drivers who need to use a screen to move their vents. And as I sit here in the passenger seat, I've got a screen in front of me in case I want to use my right arm to use these functions instead of my left arm. Overall, the style is lovely. I love the way this screen doesn't have a frame on it. It's like an infinity pool kind of concept of a screen. You have this sort of stitched leather across the top here, which I think feels really lovely, and also this lighting strip here and the carbon fibre, which I think looks lovely. There are some areas which look like leather but probably aren't, which probably could be improved a little bit, but let's not remember this is not the Cayenne, this is the smaller and cheaper and more entry-level car. So why am I sceptical about Porsche's EV future? Well, simply because it threatens the existence of Porsche itself. And this is why I'm worried. EU rules state that by 2035, that's just 10 years from now, gas and diesel cars will be banned. And that's got all the European car manufacturers rushing to get their EV vehicles out and to saturate the market with them. Now, I'm not entirely sure that demand is going to catch up with that supply. They're already 10% behind where they should be. EV adoption is about 12-13%. And the other thing is, of course, the concept of an EV Boxster or Cayman, a sports car. I think they suit these SUVs rather nicely, actually. But in a sports car, I want gears, I want noise, I want my ICE, I don't want an electric engine. So something's got to give, and I'm sure it will. But it does worry me a little bit. But let's get back to this car anyway. It's bloody good looking, isn't it? It's designed from the ground up as an EV rather than converted from the gas one. And I think still recognisably a Porsche Macan. And I think it looks very stylish. The longer wheelbase, the wider stance, the shorter overhangs. Yeah, it screams performance to me. And from the rear, this particular car has the $2,570 option of slate grey Neo paint, and the window trim is in high gloss black. Yeah, makes it look really cool in my opinion. The batteries, in case you're wondering, are positioned really low in the car. They're the lowest part of the car. So even though it is a fairly heavy car, it masks it really well. So what does it feel like? That's a good question, isn't it? What does it feel like? Well, when you walk up to it, you see a pretty chic looking car, pretty stylish looking car. Then the door pops open, which is a nice feeling to it. And you're welcomed by a door with no frame around the top, just glass. A bit of carbon fibre on the door here. And then this Alcantara steering wheel and a seat that's really sort of holding me in nicely, and which is cooled and electrically operated with a memory as well. Then you're greeted with all these screens here and all this technology, and it feels pretty good. Honestly, it feels very nice indeed. Now, if I want to go fast, I can put it into Sport Plus mode and go canyon carving. Not that we have too many canyons here in Connecticut, but you know what I mean. I think you would keep up rather well if there were people in 911s, Boxsters and what have you. I think you'd keep up pretty well, honestly. All in a car which I consider to be very practical. I mean, you saw me fitting in the back seat here. You saw how much storage there is as well. Now, the ride is sporting but with a comfort feel to it. So you've got that air suspension, as I mentioned earlier on. It rides really nicely, actually. I'm just trundling along at 55 here now. Very happy. I'm not bouncing up and down. Perfectly comfortable. And when you are pushing on, I don't know how it does it, but it hides its weight. This car can go faster than any car that weighs this much has any right to. And I think it's because the batteries are, lower down in the centre of gravity here, which help that. And of course, the tremendous amount of power. I think getting away from the lights, there are not many things that will keep up with you in this. I think practically nothing. Now, in most cars you have what's called regen braking or regenerative braking, in most EV cars I should say. In this it's not particularly strong. You have a feel of the car that is much more like a gas car. When I come off the throttle, as I am now, it's just coasting. We're not really getting a lot of braking from it. So I think if you were to come from a gas car, you probably wouldn't know the difference in terms of the braking coming off the gas. It doesn't feel any different until you put your foot down. Of course, then you probably know you're in an electric car. This car also comes with the rather silly Porsche electric sound, for which they charge you money. I'm not sure that I'd bother with that. One of the things that's really nice about electric cars is that they're not gas cars, and the experience is serene. You float along, and having a noise to remind you that it's supposed to sound like a gas car seems a bit silly to me, especially if it's designed to sort of sound like a spaceship. So how about that? An SUV, an electric SUV nonetheless, with plenty of storage, can get 4 adults in and all their luggage, and still goes like shovel, and feels like a hot hatch. That's pretty good, isn't it? I like it. I like this a lot, actually. I am not a convert to electric cars, or at least I hadn't been until now. This to me feels nicer than a Taycan, more practical. I hope that it doesn't eat too much of Taycan's dinner, as it were, and we're not eating into Porsche's own market here. But I think I prefer this. I like the fact that when you get into it, you step up into it, which is a nice feeling, and it makes me feel a bit, makes me feel as if the outside world can just go away for a bit. I feel safe in this car, which is another feeling that you want, I think. If you are carrying your children around in this, for example, I don't think you feel anything less than safe. So am I still skeptical? Am I still a cynic? Am I worried? Yes, I am, but not because of the product, but because of the model. I'm worried about this EU regulation. Something has got to give there, and it can't hurt our friends at Porsche. There are many, many EVs out in the market now, and I see most of them, in fact, as a commodity product. Appliances, white goods. They go very fast. That's about all they do. They're not particularly well made, and they're overly styled, in my opinion. If you were coming from a gas engine Porsche into this, I think you'd fit in rather nicely. It looks like a gas engine car that's been modernised from the current Macan, and there's nothing in it here that would worry you at all. In fact, I think with a slight bit of extra touch of luxury, the bit of extra power, I think you'd love it. This is, in fact, what sets it apart is that it is a Porsche. The quality of it, the engineering of it, the driving of it, how it makes you feel inside, the comfort, the technology of it all. When you couple that with relatively conservative styling that looks like the existing gas Macan, I think this makes for an absolutely wonderful product, actually. And if EVs suit your lifestyle, that sort of home-to-home destination journeys where you're not doing, 800 miles a day and having to charge it on the way and worrying about range or worrying about network availability, although the range isn't terribly bad on this at 300 and you can charge it from 10% to 80% in 21 minutes, then I think this would be a wonderful car to own. And actually, I think it's pretty good value. I don't think that at just over 110, 120,000 for a product of this quality, I think that actually represents pretty good value. Look, I hope this has been helpful. If you're thinking about an EV, or you're thinking about changing from gas to EV, or you are interested in the Macan or the electrics side of Porsche's current product suite, I hope it's been helpful. If you've enjoyed this kind of content, stick around, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.